welcome to episode 43 of Suitcase Divas podcast. My name is Denise Diobaldi with Redbirds Travel.
And I'm Cheryl Garcia with ABCD Adventures.
And we are here. We have a special guest today, Nicole Ryan. Welcome. So I'm going to give you a little background. We are in Quest Wellness, and this is Nicole's shop. And we're going to get to know Nicole a lot better today. So Quest Farms opened in 2019 by owners Devin Vince and Cannabis Nurse Nicole Ryan. And they received a federal license through the USDA Domestic Hemp Production Program to offer their products to the retail community. So, which we are very thankful that happened.
Right. It's very close to where we are. So that's nice.
And the products are amazing. I do have to say, I first met you at a pop-up shop right here in Harrisburg. And it was so cool to get to know you. We were like piecing carrots. I was like, oh my God, I love her. But I was just blown away of how knowledgeable you are about cannabis and the products. And I've dabbled in it over the years, but not really anything crazy, but just your knowledge and how to use it and all that stuff just is amazing. So we'll get into that. So kind of, what motivated you to enter the hemp industry and how did you get started?
That's a loaded question. That's certainly a loaded question. So Quest Farms was started, like you said, in 2019, and Devin started growing clones and doing consultations for other farmers that were trying to get into the hemp program. And once we did that, we sort of partnered with a wonderful 100-year-old family-run farm called Patterson Farms out in Mount Ola, North Carolina. And we hit it off really well. The family and I and Devin just, got to know each other and realized what we were doing. And we started to grow a little bit more hemp and extracting oils. And then we started making products, which is really kind of a fun thing to do. And then COVID sort of changed the game for a lot of us. We were trying to get a retail shop in town. It wasn't allowed yet in Harrisburg. And so we started to do pop-ups, and it sort of worked out because everything had shut down. People were only allowed to
Everything was only allowed to be pop-up.
Yep.
And outside, yes.
And outside, so perfect fit. Good
That's
job.
how we met. So we started doing other pop-ups, not just at the farm, but we were doing local breweries, farmers markets over in Mint Hill Historic Society. They had a great farmers market. We met a lot of folks out there. And these products were needed at the time. So the demand of relaxation and, relieving this anxiety that the world was kind of in that moment, it was definitely well received. So we had a lot of fun doing those pop-up events, but never let go of the dream of having our own shop.
And here we are. So congratulations.
Thank you.
It's beautiful here, by the
It
way.
is, yes.
If you ever get to pop into Harrisburg, North Carolina, you should definitely do it.
So what inspired you to become a cannabis nurse?
So before I was a nurse, I was a vet tech assistant at an animal hospital. And then I started my own pet sitting business.
Nice.
And I was walking some rambunctious pups. They were I think they were 6 months old. And their brother. It was a couple golden retrievers, and it was raining out and super cold. And I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this when I'm 50 years old? They were just pulling me and acting crazy as pups kind of do. And I started to Google cool nursing jobs. My grandmother was a nurse, so I thought, I should probably check it out. I do like science and helping people. Of course, I loved animals too, but I wanted something a little bit more sustainable, something that I could do throughout my later years in life. And I Googled cool nursing jobs and found, cruise line nurse, office nurse, like a corporate type of nurse that you could work in a facility. And then I saw cannabis nurse on there and I thought, what is this all about?
Right.
I had already used cannabis to help some chronic health conditions that I was dealing with. And I thought, wow, it really is a medicine. People know this. There's some medical programs at the time. There's probably just under 10. And I decided to go to nursing school to sort of be a cannabis nurse, but didn't know how that was all going to work out. And then I became a real registered nurse. So people ask all the time, are you a real nurse? And as I went to nursing school, I graduated.
And that's not an easy feat.
No,
That's an accomplishment in itself. That's crazy. Not everybody
It was
could do
wild. And I did use at the time during nursing school a full spectrum hemp oil to help with test anxiety. Of course, if I was to be drug tested, I probably would have tested positive for THC, even though I wasn't consuming a high THC product. So I was kind of undercover. It was a little scary for me, but I needed this as a medicine to relax because I do have anxiety. And this anxiety was not allowing me to perform during testing and other times. So I found super relief, and I was only taking about, I don't know, 4 milligrams before bed. And then I increased it as nursing school got more exciting and more challenging. And so I graduated nursing school, and I just sort of forgot about the cannabis stuff. Even though we were still growing medicinal hemp and making products, Devin was kind of running that show, and I was educating people about the endocannabinoid system. My first job was March 2020, the week the world shut down, cardiovascular intensive care. And then 5 months later, I had an injury to my leg. I broke my tibial plateau, and I did not go back to the bedside after that. I just couldn't unlearn what I've known to be true about the endocannabinoid system. And I felt that this was sort of my passion and my place. And the universe had to kind of knock me down to get me there, to realize that I was way more effective on this end, on this side of the hospital, than I was inside the hospital.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
That is. So what should a healthcare consumer look for when choosing a cannabis product?
The number one thing you want, because these products aren't regulated, you want to be sure that the companies that you're purchasing from are testing their products for safety. You want to see these lab tests. You want to see a QR code that works on your product. It doesn't just break as soon as you start to scan it. A lot of them take you to nowhere. And that's
A lot of people do not even know what they're putting in their body.
No. And they
You know what
don't
I mean?
care. They
No,
think
they
it's
don't
okay.
care. So the fact that you lab test all of your products
Yes.
and everything's on a level, I will never go anywhere else. Like I trust you guys. I know you have good products. So, and I feel safe with you.
Absolutely. And it's really important that you're shopping locally. When you know a hemp farmer and you know where your crop is coming from, just like your food, your vegetables and your fruit, you want to make sure that you're getting the freshest product possible, especially if you're using whole flower, inhalation or anything like that. You want to make sure that it's fresh and it's done properly with people who know what they're doing. And you got to make sure that you know what you're doing too. So make sure that you have somebody that you trust for education.
Right.
Coming to the right sources and not just a buddy, because everyone has a friend who says, here, try this gummy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we all had that friend.
Try this gummy. And then they eat the whole thing and have a bad experience, or don't feel anything the first hour and then eat another one, which is
Don't do
usually
that.
just usually what happens. Don't do that.
I'm speaking from a friend's experience.
I was just gonna say, or just in general, even if you do if someone says, hey, try this, and you take a little bit, just because they react this way, does not guarantee it's gonna be the same for you. That's a hard lesson I've learned.
Yes.
That's why when we come in here and I tell you my experience and you guys walk me through, this is what you should try and this is what you should absolutely stay away from. That was one of the best things I appreciated, was you flat out said, don't, or Devin rather told me, don't do this.
Yeah.
So
And
I
it's really-
appreciated that.
It's really cool that, people feel comfortable talking to us. And I think that's the benefit of being a nurse. We're the most trusted profession. So people come to us for all sorts of interesting, strange questions, or just, what do I do here in this situation? I'm taking this medication, because some of these products do interact with pharmaceuticals, which can be good in a way. They can potentiate some medications and make your life a little bit easier. You might need less of them. But also they can be pretty harmful, especially if you have heart conditions, or if you're like on a particular medication like a blood thinner, especially CBD. People are really always concerned about THC, but CBD is actually interacts with quite a few medications that kind of navigate through. And a bud tender, although they do know their products, they don't know the human body, chronic illness and medications, and they're kind of out of their scope if they start talking about that, but they should guide you to a healthcare professional. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of us, but there are a lot more cannabis nurses around than people realize. They're just undercover because of the stigma surrounding.
Right.
That's what I think. I think people are just afraid of, the potential of getting arrested for narcotics, because the THC portion, you're not allowed to just drive around with those or have those.
Right.
This is a little bit different. But they're still good products. They really are.
So how would you go about incorporating cannabis into your daily routine or your wellness, to make sure your wellness practices, to make sure you are doing your best to not interact and making sure it's the best fit for you?
It's really, really important to be educated on the different cannabinoids, THC, CBD. There's also other ones called CBG, CBN, CBC. There's a whole alphabet soup of cannabinoids, and they all do kind of different things. And not all of them cause a euphoria. In some cases, dysphoria if you overconsume.
Sure.
But CBD tends to be the molecule that people can kind of latch onto and feel like it's safe.
Mhm.
And
It helped you with
effective.
your pain for your
Oh,
your
for sure.
leg, right?
CBD is
You broke your leg.
yeah, CBD was great, really great for anxiety, mood elevation, doesn't cause a euphoric experience, very, very gentle. It's a great
Yeah.
kind of gateway into cannabinoids and cannabis products.
Mhm.
And then you start to kind of experiment a little bit with THC and what levels you need. A lot of folks only need anywhere between 1 to 2.5 milligrams to relieve pain. And there's usually no euphoria associated with that. Also, people use it, they say recreational or adult use. I believe all cannabis use is medicinal. I always use the example, like when you go to a party, the first thing everyone does is go to the bar. They grab a beverage. Why is that? Because they want to relax.
Right.
It's usually because they're a
Life
little
is
anxious.
hard.
Yeah, and they're usually a little anxious. Even though they want
Yes.
to be there, they're just a little bit anxious, and it sort of takes the edge off. And I hate to compare alcohol to cannabis, but cannabis can do that as well without all the side effects and toxic portions of like alcohol. It's very, very safe. It's a gentle molecule when used appropriately. So personally, I use a tincture every single day. It's a high CBD, high CBG formula. It has a little bit of THC in there because sometimes I need that. It helps it work a little bit better, but there's no high or euphoric experience with it. And then later in the day, after, working all day, sometimes I have a little bit more pain and I get home and I need a little bit more THC. And I usually consume that either in a beverage form because it's water soluble, so it tends to work a little bit quickly, or like a little piece of chocolate. And I tend to take less than 5 milligrams when that happens. And then, of course, the dreaded chores of the house, vacuuming, doing dishes now.
It's the edge off a little bit.
Yeah, so on a Saturday or a Sunday when you're doing your housework, sometimes a little puff and the dishes don't seem to be such a bad
Right?
problem
Yeah.
anymore.
I mean, don't even get me started why I don't understand how alcohol is legal and cannabis
Yeah.
is like not in whatever form,
Mhm.
I mean,
Right.
there's loopholes, but it doesn't make any sense because alcohol is way more detrimental.
Yeah.
There's way more accidents, that type of deal. So,
Yeah.
but that's a different story for another day.
Yeah.
So let's see, are there any regulations for traveling with cannabis and hemp products? This is a loaded question
This
too,
is-
and you can tell us as much or as little as you want, because I don't
Sure.
want to put you on the spot, but people always are asking us, so.
What can they take?
yeah.
What can't they take and in what forms they can take it? Like it's something we obviously can't answer because we are not as educated
We're
on
not
it.
experts.
So, yeah.
Well, I will say it was hard to find really good information. There's sort of no black and white. Everything seems to be living in the gray. I did investigate the TSA situation and what they allow on flights, and it says that because it's federally illegal, that they don't recommend that you fly with it, but people are going through checkpoints with their tinctures, with their chocolates, with their gummies, because they're not looking for that. They're looking for liquids, potential bombs, weapons, different things that could put the people on the plane in harm. So I know that you can't put vape cartridges or even e-cigs in your check-on carry-on or in your check-on bags, but in your carry-on bags you
Right.
can. I think lighters are not allowed, but again, it didn't say on the TSA information. I've personally flown with my whole flower vaporizer and grinded up whole flower in a smell-proof container that goes through checkpoints I've gone through Florida, North Carolina, Denver, Colorado, Minnesota, California. I've flown with that before and never was given a
In
problem.
your checked bag.
In my
In your
carry-on.
carry-on.
In my carry-on.
Well, yeah, so I think it just depends on what your level of comfort is, what you're willing to.
And it's a small
travel
amount. I'm
with.
not traveling
Yeah.
with a pound of
Right.
field cannabis in my purse or something like that. It's really just a tiny amount. And when it goes through, I think that they they probably understand that people are going to be flying with some sort of cannabis product. They're not messing around with tinctures because as long as they're under the legal amount, I think it's like 4 ounces, your travel
Right.
liquids.
Mhm.
So that you're fine with that. But as far as cruises go, that is something that they are not tolerating at all. And I think because not all the ports have cannabis and is legal in all these places that they're visiting.
Gotcha.
And I know from reading up on Royal Caribbean, I believe, Carnival and
Mhm.
Disney Cruise Line, there's a strict no.
They're very
no-
strict.
No
Yes.
tolerance at all.
And if they find it on you, you can be banned for life from that cruise line. So
And
just
removed
know that.
from that current cruise.
Yeah, and even if you paid for it.
Yeah, they don't care.
You just
They'll leave you
lost
at that
your
port.
vacation,
Mhm.
essentially.
So the risk versus the benefit, I know people are using this as medicine and it's really difficult. I really worry about the folks that, have seizures or different types of health conditions that require different cannabinoids. And let's say it's just CBD. They don't even tolerate a full spectrum CBD hemp
Right.
oil,
Right.
which is kind of sad, but I guess you choose which way you travel in that case.
Mhm.
I do know people have purchased products and boarded these cruises and gotten away with it, but that's a risk that they took.
Mhm.
So,
Right. Yeah, like we can always smell it on our cruises. Like people are
Right.
getting it on there, but we're
Mhm.
not advocating that you should.
Mhm.
And
cannabis is super friendly in a lot of other countries
It
too. So
is.
you can
Mhm.
buy locally, which is what I would recommend you do, and potentially, negate any problems that you have on your travels.
yeah. So do you guys have anything so this is still fairly a new shop.
Oh, hold on, let me ask one question since we're talking about travel.
Okay.
If you could visit any cannabis friendly location, destination, where would you go?
There's a couple places. I know, well, Canada's super close and I would love to go to like Toronto, Vancouver area. That would be a really cool experience. I've never been there, but Spain. Spain, they're pretty cool about their cannabis laws
Okay.
there. And I'm a big nature person and they have over 300 or 3,000 beaches, something like that, on the Mediterranean. So I'd love to
Okay.
explore their,
Yeah.
their natural habitats and the architecture, of course, the food and culture would be really
Yes.
cool, but Spain. And then you can kind of jump around to Portugal, which they're super cool with their cannabis laws too. It's not legal there, but it's sort of, they don't really enforce anything. They're not
just
gonna
look
bust
the
you.
other way.
Just be smart about
Yeah.
where you're consuming is what I say, don't light up in the middle of a busy street. Make sure that you're in the privacy of somewhere outdoors and you can kind
Mhm.
of, toss something if you need to. I'm not about breaking the law, but also if you have a need and you need your medicine and you can get it and it's safe around there, then go for it. But Spain is probably high on my list.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I have not been to Spain either, but everywhere's on my bucket
I know,
list.
right?
right?
I had
Yeah.
a hard time choosing.
Well, and then when
Jamaica.
we hear people talk, I have been to Jamaica
Mhm.
and I will tell you, unbelievable, like when we were picked up at the airport, the people in our little private little shuttle bus said, where can we go get it? And they knew right off the bat and they said, we're gonna go to the hut, I think is what he called it. And it's literally, you would not think anyone lived
That's
there.
great.
And they come out with like armful of variety. What is it you're looking for?
love that.
And it was so, everyone was like, yes, you definitely need this, you need that. And they were very knowledgeable.
Oh, I'm sure they've been using that.
Absolutely. Even the driver, he was
Oh.
like, he asked questions. He came back with really what people were looking for. This was all new to me. So I was
Mhm.
very impressed with their knowledge and their variety. I didn't know. I've learned a lot about variety from you, but Jamaica absolutely was like,
Well,
yes.
they have a whole culture surrounding
Sure.
the sacred plant to them, and I think it's
Mhm.
just a really great atmosphere. Even, women that are pregnant, they have no fear in using cannabis, with respect to the plant. And children, I even believe, are participating in some of the activities. Now, I don't recommend children to have THC unless they're old enough, like 25, the human brain is fully developed, but this culture has been using it and they've been doing really well with their consumption and how they're interacting with each other. And there's a lot of love in Jamaica. There's a
Yes.
lot of love.
And I think key word you said is the respect of the plant because they've learned about it. They've made it part of their, like you said, culture. So even using it at young ages, they've learned how to navigate that,
Mhm.
how it's beneficial.
Right, right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of studies, not to get cannabis nerdy, but as a nurse, I love to find out what people are doing and for how long they've been doing it. There's some studies that they're following moms and their babies throughout their cannabis use and how it's kind of affected them. And it'd be really interesting to see all that research kind of come out. I know there's a lot out there, so.
Oh,
Mhm.
nice. So there's always more to learn.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We're just scratching the surface on cannabis, that's for sure.
So let's talk about, like I said, this is a fairly new place, shop. And so you guys are talking about all these cool upcoming ideas that maybe you haven't got off, but you're thinking about. So what are some future, where are we at?
Wow.
Quest Wellness, what we got down the road?
Well, Devin is super creative and he's always thinking toward the future. So we've got a lot of things up our sleeve. I know that because his training is, he's a trained chef, and hotel and restaurant management and hospitality is his kind of forte. So I'm fairly certain a cannabis infused dinner is
That
in our
sounds
future.
fabulous.
That
I
does
love-
sound
Yeah,
awesome.
we would love to get that worked out, doing different things with cannabis oils and not necessarily all THC, some CBD. People can choose how much or how little in their infusions, some beverages that we've been working on. That's another really cool thing. We're trying to formulate, or we're in the process of formulating some high CBD full spectrum products, and we're looking to can them. So you can take your favorite beverages that you get at Quest Wellness and you can take them to go, which is a really cool thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we talked about doing maybe some cannabis bingo. And for all the crafters out there, which I'm not super crafty, but I love to do short little activities with friends, and it
Yes.
was usually surrounded by drinking, but since I don't consume alcohol anymore, I figured why not do it with cannabis? So we're gonna do some crafty things at the shop where
Nice.
might be on a Sunday that we're closed, and we'll maybe do some fairy houses, some
Oh, I love
bracelets.
fairy houses.
Paint and puff is kind of a cool thing.
Ah,
I've
you heard
seen
it
that
here
before.
first.
Paint and puff. So we're gonna get together with some friends who kind of facilitate this, and we'll do some cool activities.
Yeah, that sounds fabulous. Well, if you ever want us to come be part of your paint and puff, we'll
Yeah,
certainly
absolutely, yes.
be here with bells on.
Absolutely, that'd be so much fun. And then, of course, Patterson Farms is gearing up for, I know it's still July, but we are gearing up for the fall activities at the farm.
Yeah,
Bougie Bird Beverages is another company that we started, and in collaboration with HempQuest Farms, they're gonna be doing some cannabis infused beverages out there, and you can purchase HempQuest Farms products out there, and that sort of is starting, I think, at the end of September, all the way through October, and maybe even the beginning of November.
Nice.
So you can come see us for sure on those weekends at Patterson Farms.
yeah. And that's a lot of fun out there because they do have, like pumpkin picking and they've
Mhm.
got the strawberries. That already happened, right?
Yeah, strawberry
Strawberry
season just
season.
ended.
Yep,
It
okay.
actually lasted quite a long time. They were out there, I think, till like the second week of June, which usually doesn't happen. We had
Yeah.
a heck of a strawberry season.
Nice.
Mhm.
So where can people go to find more information about HemQuest Farms and locations and like events and stuff that you're having?
Sure, we have, HempQuest Farms has a website, hempquestfarms.com. QuestWellnessUSA.com is still under construction, but it can kind of guide you and navigate what kind of products we have there. But you can stop by our physical location. We're here Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 6 at Quest Wellness in Harrisburg. And at the farm, we'll do that pop-up event, but the HempQuest Farms, you can purchase online too. So if you're
Yes.
not close, we do ship to all the states that allow full spectrum hemp products. And as long as your laws can accommodate that, we can ship them to you.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate your time,
Yes.
Nicole, and love your products.
Thank you.
And we look forward to, we wish you much success.
Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
guys.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.